There comes a moment where you stop asking, why don't they see me, and start wondering, why do I keep handing myself to people who never look close enough? You try to be the strong one, the loyal one, the consistent one, but behind that, there's exhaustion because you're doing the work of being valuable in people's lives while they're still deciding whether to notice. This video is about that shift when you stop chasing to be seen and start living in a way where they feel your absence, where you're not begging to be valued. You're becoming someone they never forget. Don't skip through this. Each insight builds on the last. Think of it less like a list and more like a journey inward. The final one changed how I carry every room I walk into. And if you're on this kind of path, one where peace matters more than praise, I'd love to have you here. Subscribe if it feels right. No pressure, just presence. Sign 1. You respond less, but you mean more. There comes a time when you stop rushing to explain yourself, not because you don't care, but because you finally do, about your energy, your boundaries, your peace. You don't feel the need to jump into every debate. You no longer chase after closure from people who were never open to hearing you in the first place. You begin to notice how often you used to over-explain your intentions, your decisions, even your feelings, just to be seen as good, reasonable, or understood. And it drains you. It makes you second-guess what was clear in your spirit just moments ago. But something shifts. You start to value your clarity more than their agreement. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You realize the right ones won't need a presentation. They'll just know. So instead of explaining, you observe. Instead of reacting, you reflect. And instead of arguing, you let silence speak on your behalf. Because silence is powerful. It's not empty. It's full of discernment, full of protection, full of peace. You begin to use it as your filter, not to punish, but to protect, not to withhold love, but to preserve self-respect. And something fascinating happens. The less you explain, the more they pay attention. Your words may be fewer, but they start to carry weight. Your presence may be quieter, but it lingers longer. They start noticing your pauses. They sense that you're no longer available in the same way, not out of bitterness, but because you're finally choosing yourself. And the truth is, your absence begins to speak louder than your over-explanations ever did. Sometimes it's in how you don't reply to the text that tries to bait you into an old version of yourself, or how you don't show up to defend a rumor because you know who you are and that's enough, or how you simply walk away from a conversation that drains instead of nourishes. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. You realize not every comment deserves a response. Not every invitation is meant to be accepted. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected, especially when someone's mind is already made up. So here's something worth sitting with. When was the last time you chose your energy over their expectation? When you chose peace over proving? When you let go, not out of defeat, but out of self-respect? You didn't lose your voice. You just stopped raising it for those who were never truly listening. And that's the beginning of real power. Quiet power. Grounded power. The kind of power that doesn't need to shout to be felt. Because now, when you do speak, people lean in. They feel you. Not because you're louder, but because you're finally aligned. And when your energy starts speaking louder than your explanations ever did, they don't just hear you, they remember you. But the next sign shifted something even deeper for me. Sign 2, you stay quiet when you win, and they don't celebrate anyway. You hit a milestone. something you've been building for months, maybe years, and it finally happens. The promotion, the healing, the move, the moment. You're proud but not loud. You don't post to brag. You post because you're human, because joy, like pain, deserves to be witnessed. And still, silence. No message, no call, no congratulations, not even an emoji, just quiet. But the last time you were low, they were right there, checking in, showing concern, playing the role of the reliable friend. And at first glance, it feels like care. But when you look again, it's not care, it's control. Because some people only know how to connect to your pain, not your power. Your heartbreak brings them close, but your happiness, that sends them running. And maybe that's because your success disrupts their comfort. It shines a light on the places they haven't grown. It holds up a mirror to their delays, their excuses, their unspoken envy. It's not that you've changed, it's that your light reveals their shadows, so they vanish or they minimize. Oh, must be nice. You're lucky. You're doing a lot these days, huh? It's not praise, it's projection. It's not support, it's surveillance. They don't celebrate you, they study you. And so over time, you start to shrink your joy. You post less, share less, downplay more. Not because you're ashamed, but because you're tired. Tired of watching the people you love go quiet when you're loud with gratitude. Tired of overthinking whether your happiness is making someone else uncomfortable. Tired of wondering, is it me, or did they only love the broken version of me? And here's the thing, real love expands with your growth. It doesn't retreat. True connection celebrates your rise as much as it comforts your fall. So here's something worth asking. Who only sees you clearly when you're hurting? Who becomes present only when you're bent over in pain, but disappears when you stand tall? Because being loud in your lows and absent in your highs, that's not friendship. That's a power imbalance. That's possession with a kind face. That's envy, wearing empathy like a mask. And you don't need that in your sacred circle. You deserve people who light candles when you win, who clap when you rise, who don't just check in when you're broken, but cheer on when you're blooming. Because love isn't just about who stays when it's hard. It's also about who stands with you when things are finally getting good. This next one is quieter, but in many ways, even more revealing. Sign 3. Their praise always feels like a subtle jab. You're really lucky. Must be nice to have time for that. Wow, someone's doing well. It sounds warm on the surface, but something in your chest tightens. Not because you're sensitive, but because you're sensing something. Because that wasn't a compliment, it was a calculation. It's admiration with a little bit of acid in it. Like they couldn't just clap for you, they had to correct you. They had to slip in a reminder that your win doesn't count the way you think it does. They don't say, I'm proud of you. They say, must be nice. They don't ask, how did you do it? They say, you've always had it easier. And suddenly your moment feels smaller. Your effort feels erased. You feel like you have to explain the thing you were just supposed to enjoy. And here's the quiet truth. Some people can't watch you bloom without needing to believe it was by accident. Because if it wasn't luck, if it wasn't handed to you, then it means they have to look at the places they stayed stuck, and that's too heavy for them. So they wrap their envy in sarcasm. They turn support into subtle sabotage. They smile while slowly slicing away at your self-belief. And maybe over time, you started editing your joy, smoothing out the excitement, removing the sparkle, just to make your growth digestible for people who never truly saw you evolving. That's not humility, that's hiding. So ask yourself gently, who in your life sprinkles support with side eyes? Who makes your joy feel like a negotiation? Who only claps if you don't clap too loud? Because real praise doesn't sting. It doesn't come with disclaimers. It doesn't make you question whether you're being too much or doing too well. Genuine support is free of friction. It breathes life into your spirit, not doubt into your mind. And here's the shift. You don't need to decode people's words anymore. You can trust the way their energy lands in your body. You can stop shrinking your joy to fit their comfort zone. You're not here to make your light convenient for someone else's insecurity, because true love, the kind that's safe, celebrates without subtraction. It praises with presence, not projection. It makes you feel seen, not small. And then there's the one that hit me in the stillness. Sign 4. You always feel drained after talking to them. Sometimes your spirit knows truths that your mouth hasn't learned to speak yet. You might sit across from someone who smiles, laughs, even listens. But when the conversation ends, something inside you feels different. Not lighter, as if energized or uplifted, but emptier. It's not a grand drama or an obvious clash. It's quieter than that. More like a slow leak, subtle but persistent. You walk away from these interactions with a weight you can't quite explain. Not physical exhaustion, something deeper. You find yourself replaying every word, every pause. Were you too loud? Too soft? Did you say too much or not enough? This isn't just self-doubt sneaking in. It's energy quietly slipping away. You might notice it only after the fact. A sinking feeling that wasn't there before. A heaviness resting on your chest. A fog clouding your mind. These moments aren't just conversations. They're energetic erosion. And here's the thing. The most painful betrayals don't always come wrapped in raised voices or harsh words. They come in gentle smiles that mask dismissal, in the small talk that leaves you feeling small, in the company that drains you slowly, like a candle burning at both ends. It's the kind of fatigue that's hard to name, but impossible to ignore. So pay attention to your body's whispers. Notice how certain conversations leave you feeling hollow, even if everyone was being nice. Your spirit is trying to tell you something important. You're not imagining it. Your energy is precious, and it's okay to protect it fiercely. And then there's the last sign, the one that finally helped me stop apologizing for my presence. Sign 5. You start shrinking yourself just to keep them comfortable. Have you ever noticed how, around certain people, you laugh a little less? Not because you're sad, but because the joy feels like too much noise for the space. You hold back stories about what excites you. You soften your words when you talk about your dreams, making them smaller, more acceptable. You tuck away your confidence, not because it's gone, but because you're trying not to make them feel uneasy. It feels like kindness, right? Like you're protecting them from feeling small or insecure. But really, it's something else entirely. It's self-abandonment. You start walking on eggshells in your own life, carefully measuring every step, every smile, every word. And before you know it, you've stopped showing up as your full self. This isn't just about keeping peace. It's about losing pieces of who you are. I remember the moment I had to ask myself a tough question. Who do I become when they walk into the room? Because that question reveals so much. If you have to dim your light just to keep someone near, they were never truly aligned with your brightness. They weren't meant to witness your full shine. Only a version of you that fits their comfort zone. And that kind of relationship, It's a quiet kind of harm. It asks you to settle, to quiet your soul, and to settle for less than you deserve. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. Your light isn't something to be hidden or tamed. It's yours to own, fiercely and unapologetically. And the people who truly belong in your life, they don't ask you to shrink. They celebrate every part of your brightness, the loud, the bold, and even the messy. So if you catch yourself dimming down, ask yourself gently, am I honoring who I really am? Or am I giving away my power just to make someone else comfortable? You deserve to stand tall, fully you, without apology. Let's breathe this in. 1. You respond less, but you mean more. 2. You stay quiet in your wins, and they stay silent too. 3. Their compliments sting more than they soothe. 4. You feel emotionally lighter when they're not around. 5. You shrink yourself to keep the peace. This isn't about cutting people off. It's about cutting off the pattern of abandoning yourself just to feel temporarily accepted. When you start living like you matter, the world will catch up. And if it doesn't, you're still whole. You don't need everyone to value you. Just start with you. Let me know in the comments which of these signs stirred something in you. And if this landed, subscribe. Not for hype, but for the calm, for the clarity, for the kind of content that doesn't just fill time, it fills you. You're not alone in this, and you never have to beg for your worth again.